which there are whales inside of the Hex ecosystem that have 300,000-400,000 ETH. And billions of dollars worth of crypto value basically as well locked away in their wallets. We can see these things on chain. The whole benefit of public blockchain is that you can have pseudo anonymity. Now, is that a feature you want to carry forward over the evolution of future cryptocurrency? It really comes down to, what are you in this for? Are you in this because the ticker goes up and price goes up? That's a lot of people. That's a majority of people, I believe. I don't think anybody volunteers time if they think that their investment of resource is going to wither. So what is the purpose? This was always public. It was never listed. I think even listings of Hex product on central exchanges have very low volume. And that is because the culture around Richard's commentary seems to be cyberpunk. It seems to be the 10-year, 12-year ago dream of people having peer-to-peer choices about how they spend their funds. Right? It seems to be a freedom of speech kind of narrative that Richard has proposed.
Guys, so I'm just looking at this first. The more I look into this, by the way, Scott, you'll be surprised by what I'm about to say. But then again, what I'm about to say is pretty worthless since I'm not a lawyer. But the more I talk about this, the more I realize that either the case is weak or it seems Richard is a few steps ahead.
I agree with that, actually, and you know that I'm not like a SEC homer by any stretch. I'm one of the most critical people of the SEC around, but I mean, there's probably something there. The question is whether it's, like you said, I mean, whether it's a technicality or something he did. But if he literally took the investor funds and spent it, that's fraud. I'm sorry.
I want to jump in here. I want to say that Richard Hyde's one of the smartest people that I've ever met in my life, intellectually. Now, he may or may not be a scammer, and he may have not done things wrong, but one thing you can't deny is that the guy is very, 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 very smart. He's very, 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 very calculated. I think, as I said yesterday, he is the type of guy that just wants to be noticed. He just wants to be noticed and be remembered. And he hates the fact that people like Satoshi have been remembered and Vitalik have been remembered. In fact, I'm going to try to play something. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear it. But I want to play this for you guys just so that you can hear the interview that he did on my show. I don't know, Mari, if you've got this one, but let me just play this for you. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it. Give me 1 second. With him in his. Okay, so let me just play this for you guys. I asked him, why do you wear these Rolexes? Why do you shop? Why do you go flaunting your wealth? That's not the Richard Hart that I remember from when I met him in 2016 and 2017. I think this was his answer. I'll try to find it first.
I find the weightlifting one.
1 second.
Oh, God, I don't know. I think Duquan has more followers.
Okay, so here's where he starts talking about.
Not fair. And
hold on, let me just go a little bit back.
It is, to me, there it is, right there. Up a little bit. Right there to the left. Well, yeah, the far left.
This is my personal favorite.
He's weightlifting shopping bags in this interview.
Deadlifting, that's shopping. Yeah, someone made that. The deadlifts are real. The shopping bags are actually they get pretty heavy. So life's not fair, and everyone has more followers than me. People that have stolen people's money, have bankrupted people, have been fraudulent, have been misleading, have done great harm in the world, have more followers than me. I think Duquan has more followers than me. I think 3 Hours Capital guy, Suzu, has more followers than me. I think a lot of scammers, this guy named Ben Baller, he said all my watches were fake. He said my SF90 1,000 horsepower Ferrari is slower than a 765 LT. It's not. He says it's slower than a Senna in a quarter mile. No, it's not. This guy just says all these lies. He's got more followers than me and sells people an advisory service on how to gamble to make a secondary income. Sports gambling. Wow. What a piece of trash. So all these scumbags have more followers than me. Now, why is that? Is it because they designed better products? Nope. Is it because they got better returns? Nope. Is it because they called the top of the day? Nope. Called the watch top as well? No. And so I did everything I could that in a just and fair world would lead me to glory, that would lead me to greatness. My voice would be amplified because I was right about everything forever. But that's not how it worked out. Instead, the scumbags that are louder and more rambunctious and more controversial, they get the audience, and the good, honest person doing the honest work doesn't. And so you get rewarded for being abrasive. You get rewarded for being a prick.
And
if you're going to reward me for being a prick, I guess I'm going to have to learn to be good at it.
But what's the reward? I mean, do you measure your value? You allude to the fact that they beat you or that they got unjustly beat.
And they're still beating me.
Because more people
They still have, yes. I'm trying to fix the world, literally all of it. If you go to my oldest YouTube videos, it's me teaching you how to give better apologies, have better relationships, drink less, work out more, do a lot of things that I found hard to do in my life, but I know tactically how to do them right if you get them.
So I mean, that's the one video. The other video which we played today on our show, I'll play it here because I think it's quite a funny video, but it's maybe ironic. Maybe funny is not the right word here, but listen to this.
Any of you guys from the SEC are listening, I hope you are. I want you to know in the deepest parts of your heart that I've saved a lot more people from being wrecked than you have. Because I did everything I could to prevent people from putting their money into BlockFi. Did you? I did everything I could to prevent people from putting their money into Celsius. Did you? I did everything I could to put people in charge of their own keys and get them to have self-custody. Did you do that? I called the top on the day. Did you? What have you done? So
I mean, you get the point here. Like, Richard Hart is a man on a mission to be the good guy. He's the man on a mission to make a difference and to be remembered and to get more followers and to get cred and recognition. Now, that's why I think that he's going to fight this. He's not going to take any settlements. He's going to fight this till the end, and he's going to use the money that he has to lawyer himself up and to try and beat the SEC so that he can get the same recognition that Ripple got when they beat the SEC. And I think that that's what's going to happen here. This is the type of guy you're dealing with here, and he's full of money. I mean, there is one of his wallets that is mentioned in the SEC papers, which has $700 million worth of DAI in it. He has money to fund this.
So there's a thread on, I understand all this, but there's a thread I'm going through Truth Labs. I'm trying to see how serious the allegations are and whether this will escalate to becoming criminal. So Truth Labs has a great thread, and I'm going to pin it above. Let me see if the their Crypto Town Hall account is there. So they can pin that thread up, and they break down a lot of the concerns they've had they've talked about in the months and months ago, and how they relate to this case. So for example here, and David, that goes to you before going to action, is ultimately he sets up thousands of wallets to farm Hex and Pulsechain. I highlighted in November that he withdrew over $50 million in Pulsechain sacrifice funds already at the time to his own personal accounts. And he puts out a link to a tweet the Truth Labs tweeted in November last year about that exact allegation. And then he says, back in April, I shared a peek into who CZ personally interacted with. Richard Hart was one of those long list of frauds directly interacting with CZ's personal Binance wallets, and starts breaking down all the transactions. So it just seems that if you go through the thread, it gets a bit technical as you read through it. But the allegations of the whole, what's the word again that they've used in the recycling, it seems something, it seems to be the more serious one. I don't know if it becomes criminal. So I in terms of what you're saying, Ran, about his personality and why he's doing all this, he is very smart, but he might have not been able to outsmart the SEC and their resources, and might have gotten ahead of himself.
True. Mario, can I say something about the recycling?
Please do, Model. Then we'll go to David.
So it's I mean, I created a video that I posted to this thread here that walks you through the Hex launch and origin address, and it's scripted, and I spent a lot of time kind of really thinking about what I saw back then, because it's in the past and it's really hard to kind of see here today. But I haven't seen any really Chainalysis evidence that there was recycling, right? I did see a bunch of wallets with Ethereum stacked on there, but the central point that Rags made was that the origin address was there to blunt the arbitrage opportunity for Hex in its infancy. Because if you participated in the origin address, if you participated in the adoption amplifier, you received roughly the same amount of Hex each day that you would have received if you participated in the open market. But what that turned the adoption amplifier into is basically an over-the-counter way to bid on large amounts of Hex, so that they're not, like getting slippage in a shallow market. And so at the end of the day, I would see this Ethereum come in, not to boast and brag about, oh, look, we have so much volume and we're doing it. Not that didn't happen. The Ethereum came in at the end of the day after everyone bid to bid up the amount of hex that everyone would receive, and it would be on par with as much that you would have received if you bought that in the open market. And that's what I saw happened for 350 days during the adoption amplifier.
That's a point to be made. You know, we like to brag, or Richard has bragged for years about the launch of Uniswap and how the first 5 months of volume on Uniswap was dominated. More than 50% of volume on Uniswap was Hex. It was the launch phase of Hex. And you know, it was. I recall. I don't recall that Uniswap existed. Maybe it did, but I don't think it was popular at the time that Richard was making you know, a lot of content around this idea of Bitcoin hex or how hex would be distributed and things like that. And you know, if you look again on Etherscan at the contract itself, a solid third of the contract is trying to make sure that Bitcoin holders could make a free claim simply by signing you know, that they possess Bitcoin in their wallet, right? And he made a lot of effort, content, and engagement with community, growth of community around that idea that you could participate. And I actually know a lot of people that bought Bitcoin simply to sell it the next day after they made a claim. So like there was a lot of the design and development was that this launch mechanic. And what I remember is that initially there was a great arbitrage opportunity because people would buy or you know get divvied out hex with you know a couple of ETH, you know 2 or 3 ETH into the daily distribution of I think 500 million hex would distribute daily, and they would buy it and then they would put it in liquidity pool on Uniswap, and they would, you know, either earn fees, or if they wanted to play charts, then they would arb it and make, you know, I think that Richard got annoyed with it initially. My guess, my speculation is he got annoyed with the fact that people were eating a lot of slippage. If they went to buy on Uniswap, they might see a lower price point than the daily distribution or the previous day's distribution rates, and they may think that they could buy the same amount and not understand, you know, slippage or low liquidity markets. So the idea that it was, you know, misappropriation or recycling, this has already gone through basically as long as there's been smart contracts, as long as there's been, you know, ways that people could do the same thing. EOS is the biggest example in the room. And EOS has the same truth people that just got commented about. They did the same analysis 2 years ago that's all public about how, you know, $4 billion was raised and basically 800 million is speculated to have gone through the same sort of process of open market.
I want to, David Silver, are you there?
I am.
Have a look at the pinned tweet above, if you can, and everyone in the audience could also check it out. And then it's by Martin Shkreli. I don't know if it's a